We're in the same time zone, but where in the world are we talking to WWE superstar Austin Theory from?
I am here in Orlando, Florida.
Seems to be the mecca and home base for WWE these days. Was that a transition for you to make the move and kind of join the ranks of everyone else in Florida?
Yeah, man, it's kind of one of those things when you get signed to the WWE. First off, you go to the WWE Performance Center, which is here in Orlando, Florida, and I came from McDonough, Georgia. So for me, it was about 6 hours away from home, so not too crazy of a difference.
Well, you've been jet setting all over the world recently for WWE, fresh back from Australia and the Elimination Chamber. Before we get too deep into the weeds, I know that you and Grayson Waller had some drama doing media interviews down under. So, what can we do to avoid any situation? What do you want me to steer out of? And what advice do you have to keep the peace?
I honestly, based off that situation, I just have one thing to say. Just be smart. That's it. That guy is, just an idiot. So that's it. Just don't be an idiot, right?
Well, toward the end, maybe I'll check back in with you, get your grade, see where I stack on the idiot scale. We're going to
Hopefully you get
debut.
a 95, rock 95, right?
Hey, there you go. Although, does that make me almost 100% idiot or less idiot?
You're
I'm not
right.
sure.
You're right. Maybe you can have the other 5%, but just for the show, you'll get a 95. That's 100 for rock 95, a 95. Maybe
Sounds
we
great.
make that a thing now. Maybe that's a thing on the show.
There we go. Austin Theory Live's idiot scale 95.
There it
It
is.
almost rhymes. We're going to talk about mic work and talk show segments in a second. But first of all, back on the subject of jet setting. Outside of the United States, what is your favorite country to visit with WWE and why is it Canada?
Uh, it's Canada because that is where I defended the United States Championship for the first time inside the Elimination Chamber, and I won it all. I stood on top of that chamber, an Elimination Chamber that I had as a kid, as a toy. I now have conquered it as the United States champion in Canada. That's why Canada is my favorite. But if you want to know about anywhere else I've been, I would have to say a really cool place was recently going over to Perth, Australia, being across the world and seeing such a huge fan base to know that we have that, and just how much of an impact the WWE made going over to Australia and how cool it's going to be to get to go back because, I mean, man, we broke records over there.
And continue to do so. The momentum is unbelievable with the WWE, and we'll talk about the dawning of a new era coming up. But in the vein of it not being your grandfather's wrestling schedule anymore, used to just be four pay-per-views, now premium live events, and so many specialty events like the Elimination Chamber and like Money in the Bank coming to Toronto, which we're going to talk about your history in there. But I still want to touch on your pairing with Grayson Waller, especially with that talk show segment. You know, the Grayson Waller effect has kind of made Austin Theory Live take a step to the back burner. And I'm wondering if that's a relief to you or it's something you wish you had a little more opportunity to do, host that talk show segment.
I think it's a balance of everything. I don't feel like there's a step back, I would say, or a back burner to anything. I think Austin Theory Live to me is it's not a show like the Grayson Waller effect. It's almost like it's me as a whole. It's always getting to see me and what I bring because at the end of the day, there's nobody that's my age that has accomplished the things that I've done and been under the pressure that I've been under and been able to, stand toe to toe with guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena. Um, Really, for me, it's just been a cool thing to get to interact with somebody else and get something fresh, especially when there's so many things going on. And maybe there's a point where they're just trying to figure things out because there's so much happening. And I feel like with, me and Grayson, it's a good pairing. And also, I'm having such a good time getting to play off of him and kind of create our own story. And as people can see, there's a little bit of butting heads a little bit with, him throwing me under the bus in Australia. We won't forget about that. And there's been a couple other, situations. So seems like things are going good. They should continue to go good, but hopefully nothing explodes because at the end of the day, I know who I am. Grayson Waller, he clearly knows who he is, but I don't take a back seat to anybody. So we'll see how this thing goes.
I might be a bit biased because I'm an indie worker as well and a radio host. So I love the mic work and I love the talk show segments. Continuing that legacy of a long line of legendary talk show segments going back to Piper's Pit. Is that nerve wracking or are you totally comfortable on the microphone so it's not even a thought?
Man, I even take it back to just finding that comfort, going out there when I had the segment with Pat McAfee and The Rock. I found out 30 minutes before that, and literally met The Rock 5 minutes before, and we went out there, and it was just kind of one of those things. Just feel it, feel how you're feeling in that moment, what you would say, things you would do, and to me, that was one of my proudest moments, just because. I really felt myself out there, my presence, and kind of since then, I've just kept this aura about myself on, man, you just got to try stuff and really be yourself. And I think the audience is really starting to see that now, and even online, people are really starting to see. There's always that thing, you got to take some hate at first, and there's always going to be that hate. But I think after repetition and repetition of seeing, wow, this guy is here every single week, whether you want to hate on me or not, I'm putting in the work. Nobody in that ring is doing it like I'm doing it. When I got that mic in my hand, I'm going to make you remember. And that's what it's all about. So for me, it's just one of those things. I feel so comfortable, and I'm just blessed for the opportunities that I've had. And as they continue to come, I'm just going to knock them out.
You talk about being the guy that's there every night, week after week. We've got The Rock back, although it's a bit different this time. He's on the board of directors of the parent company, TKO, but also in the main event segment. And we're 10 years removed from that being used as a knock against him. That part-timer coming in, taking up full-time guy's spot. You mentioned Pat McAfee. He could fall under that category. Even Logan Paul, although he's coming more and more. Is there still a sentiment in the locker room about these part-timers coming in, or is that kind of the old school way of thinking?
Honestly, I think it's not even like an old school way or how do people feel now. It's more so to me like a how do you feel individually as a person about this? From my standpoint, and obviously I can only tell you how I feel. When I see guys, use Logan Paul, somebody that has picked this up and crafted it so well. And the matches he's been in, the pressure he's been under, the promos that he's been cutting. If you watch his promos, you can see how comfortable he is and how he's, really being Logan Paul and as the United States champion. And, even looking at guys like The Rock, people can say what they want to say, but that's The Rock. We're selling out arenas, and obviously that's because of Austin Theory. But The Rock is a huge piece to have in the WWE. He's definitely one of those heads on the Mount Rushmore of the WWE when you look at it. So to me, I don't ever think somebody returning or somebody that doesn't really have as much of a background in wrestling and put the time in. I just think everybody has different walks of life on how they've done things, and even bringing it back to Logan Paul, this is a self-made person. This is somebody that, as a kid, built his entire platform on his own. And he has all these things. That prime drink is all over the world. It's so cool to see that. And then get the opportunity in WWE and not just get the opportunity and just say, hey, here's another box to check. Let me show up and do this and make some cash. Somebody that's really putting in the work and trying to make sure that when they go out there, they're not making an embarrassment of themselves. They're literally trying their best. And man, he's doing a hell of a job at it. And I'm enjoying, running around with him too. It's cool.
So we're going to talk about Money in the Bank and your history with that, but let's bring it back to you, the important piece of why we're having this conversation. When you've accomplished so much as you have at the young age and have such a long road ahead of you, do you get less pressure or more pressure? The more items you tick off, the more accomplishments you make at such a young age, does that add to pressure to keep it going, or is it relief when you hit a milestone?
It's crazy, but it's almost like the pressure and the relief. It's like neither one of those. It's almost like for me, I've always been very inspired and motivated And I always feel like I can never just be stagnant and just do something and then be cool with it for a while. And then, okay, now let's try to do something else. The pressure part, I thrive in that. And that's what all of this is. At any given moment, for example, the Pat McAfee and Rock promo, literally showing up to Smackdown and not having anything on the show, being told, hey, you're not doing anything. And then 30 minutes before the show starts, hey, we need you for this. And then to go out there and be able to put on and perform and create such a moment like that, that's when all the pressure hits you. But at the same time, you have to be able to grasp that mindset of, okay, now it's time to be Austin Theory. It's time to show them what you got. Because at the same time, it's such a big moment. You're out there with some big stars like Pat and The Rock, but remember who you are. Remember what you did to get here. Remember everything that you did. And all those moments of, when you say, like, is it a relief having them? For me, having those moments, it's so awesome. But I love having those moments because it's a constant reminder of how great I can be and how great I'm going to be. And for me, I always remember that. Remember who was the guy that kicked off WrestleMania last year against John Cena, because John Cena doesn't just get in the ring with anybody. And for me, that's something to remember. That's somebody that inspired me at 8 years old. That's somebody that I was able to accomplish my dream with by getting in the ring with him at WrestleMania, going on and, doing things with The Rock, having that moment with Stone Cold Steve Austin at Mania, locking all that in, knowing how hard I trained at my WWE tryout, knowing out of 50 people that I would be the one person to get recognized out of everybody in there. I knew that walking in there. And sure enough, if you go back and look up the 2018 WWE trial article, I'm the first person on there, because those moments and those things are what thrive me in that pressure. Because at the same time, everybody can look at pressure differently, but for me, especially in the WWE and especially in big moments, I love that pressure because that's what brings all of that out of me and what gets me to my top performance.
So talking about things you've accomplished and things you have done, that includes being a Money in the Bank winner. This is the event coming north of the border to Toronto, and it's not just another WWE show, not that there is such a thing,
No.
but this is one of the marquee premium live events because it sets in motion the year to come after Money in the Bank, because you win a contract in a briefcase in a ladder match that guarantees you a title shot of your choosing. Talk a bit about how crazy it is to be involved in that match with high stakes, a dangerous match like a ladder match, and then what it means to win it and have that year moving forward of creative.
Yeah, man, it's a dangerous match, but everybody's such, like, at the top of their game in that match because of what it's all about. And anybody that doesn't know, what it's all about in a Money in the Bank match is climbing to the top of that ladder. And when you finally have that briefcase in your hand, that kind of guarantees you a shot at any time against the WWE championship. And man, that can just change your career forever. The legacy of, the United States Championship in WWE, the Intercontinental, the Universal. Now we have the World Heavyweight Championship that we're bringing back. It's being able to just put your name in that list of the greats is insane. And when it comes to a Money in the Bank match, it's like no other match. It's very dangerous. I remember my first Money in the Bank match. I remember laying there and literally ladders flying and trying to dodge them on the floor. You're a little rocked from Sheamus probably hitting you super hard, and you're laying there on the floor and you're trying to get out of the way of getting hit with a ladder too. So it's like survival mode the whole time. But if you've never seen a Money in the Bank ladder match, this is definitely one you want to see. You don't want to miss it. I mean, we're at an all-time high right now, a huge peak in the WWE. There's no telling who's going to be in that Money in the Bank match. I mean, if I'm in it, I'm going to win, because my first Money in the Bank match, I mean, I had a match that night and walked in less than 100% and beat former world champions. So, it's one of those things you got to check out. So make sure you check out Money in the Bank.
It's a spectacle for sure, and tickets to be there live to experience it on sale this week. You brought up John Cena. I wanted to bring up, some internet chatter, folks that compare you to John Cena, from everything from a physical look to style in the ring. And there's a pocket of the internet that mean it as an insult. Like, oh, he's just like another John Cena. What do you respond to that? In what any other walk of life, this would be a compliment?
Man, it's almost like you just don't respond to it, you know? And it's so crazy when it comes to the internet to me because I like to view a really good compliment the same as a really bad compliment. Because at the end of the day, this one, it might make you feel good and this one might make you not feel as good, but they mean the same thing. They have the same meaning. They don't change anything about your life unless you let it. But someone like me, I see things from time to time, but I don't like to dive deep into it because personally, I don't care. I know that it's always been this guy that has had to work out every single day in the gym since he was 12 by himself sometimes, miss parties, miss hanging out with people just because I was so focused on getting to the WWE. And when it comes to that grind and that lifestyle of all the work that I have put in and, having that mindset at such a young age to achieve these things, somebody's opinion of something, I just don't care. I always say purpose before opinions. That was something I put on a t-shirt when I was 17 years old because I believed it, because I believed that my purpose was far more important than somebody having something to say. But for those people that have the things about the John Cena stuff and the comparisons, I'll always appreciate a John Cena comparison because that's a mountain of work ethic. That's somebody that at the end of the day, whether somebody wants to say something negative about him, I mean, you just can't, the things that he's done and what he's done for the WWE and really, look at his Make-A-Wish stuff. Look at the movies he's doing. Whenever he does something, he's fully in and he kills it every time. But for the people that have the negative, feeling about trying to compare me to John Cena, they're just losers, man. They're just, you know what I mean? Like that's just some guy that he just, sits in the basement all day and eats Cheetos and drinks Capri Suns and he feels good about himself. So I hope you feel good, dude.
Well, a comparison to someone who you say is a hero, I can't ever imagine it being negative. But with that in mind, would you ever appear naked at the Oscars and come across the stage in front of all those people?
Well, that's I can't believe I'm gonna say this is Austin Theory, but you know, I made some comments about beating John Cena at WrestleMania so bad that he went to Hollywood and became a mermaid. But I guess that's not enough because now he went to the Grammys naked. The Grammys naked. That's just so hard to say because it's real. For me, I'm gonna pass on that one. I'm gonna pass. But Big John, he can do anything. And clearly the whole "you can't see me" thing did not work at the Grammys. So
Uh,
yeah, that's all we got to say about that.
well, I want to wrap things up and talk about something you touched on, that incredible moment with The Rock and Pat McAfee being last minute. We are in an era of change in the WWE. Moving to Netflix. All the shows for us Canadians will be streaming. Moving on from the McMahon era. How much of a transition has that been behind the scenes? Is it nerve-wracking? Is it exciting? Do you still have last minute things happening? Because that has been infamously reported that scripts are getting changed. Is that a thing still? How's your mindset with the change in era?
Man, I would say with the change of everything, it's been awesome. Just so much more comfortability, just because you know what's going on. You know that what you have, if you feel like there's just something not right about it or something you're saying, it's easy to have that creative liberty, and change things or try things out and really just have that open field to play. And it's the energy backstage is amazing. Everybody's just a hard worker. Everybody's wanting to be better. Everybody's wanting to help people be better. We're all watching each other's stuff. Man, it's more of a family, I feel like, than it's ever been. It's always been a family. It's always been such a strong place. But man, this is a huge time. It's a huge error, and we're creating it. And I'm so glad that I'm in it and I'm a part of it, and I get to make it grow. So it's awesome at the WWE.
We're glad that you're bringing that energy north of the border to Toronto for Money in the Bank. You'll see Austin Theory there, as well as all the WWE superstars, in what will be a history-making night that sets the tone for the following year. So we'll go back to Austin Theory live, Idiot Scale, Rock 95. Where do I rate? What's the score? What's your grade?
All right, here we go. My man, you rocked it. You rocked it so good that you got a rock 95.
I had a feeling that was coming, but that's what we were aiming for. Austin Theory, thanks so much
That's
for
right.
taking time to talk to us. All the best, and we will see you this summer in the hot, hot lights of Money in the Bank.
Yes, you will. Thank you for having me.